I think it would be good to get an expert's explanation on all of these new laws that are going on, but specifically the one that shields companies from liability after commercial vehicle crashes. So with this new law, how how is this going to affect the new lawsuits that people have with accidents?
Well, so the way it's set up is if there's an accident with a commercial vehicle, if the defendant's trucking company stipulates from the very beginning that the person driving the truck was employed by them and was in the course and scope of their employment, and then they move for a bifurcated trial, what happens is in the first part of the trial, you only try the negligence of the driver. And the company is only liable for what's called respondeat superior type damages, meaning that, if the employee's negligent, then you have to pay for them. There's no exemplary damages, no punitive damages to keep the company, from behaving in the future, badly or punishing them. But it looks like you can still get it in if you can show independent negligence on the behalf of the trucking company. Like, let's say you hired a guy who didn't have a commercial driver's license, but you hired him anyway and said, go drive this truck. Or you did something else that led up to it. It looks like you can still get into that. The problem is this statute is not written very well. It's very poorly written and is confusing, and it is it's hard to understand, and nobody seems to have a good handle on it because it was written so poorly and it was written in such a rush. The attempt obviously is to shield insurance companies, and the intent is to shield big companies. And so they've done that, or they've tried to do that with this bifurcation. But like I said, usually there's something the trucking company did wrong anyway, an independent act of their own that led to it. And so most of the time that's going to come in anyway. So, no cases have been tried under this yet, and no courts have ruled on it yet. So nobody's exactly sure how it's going to work, because it's, like I said, it is just so poorly written, and it was rushed, and we all know what the legislature was trying to do. They just did a poor job. They did a poor job of drafting the law. So, that's kind of where we are.
Right, because even if it prevents successive lawsuits against companies, it could essentially make the roads more dangerous.
Yes. Because the legislature doesn't care whether the roads are dangerous or not. They just care about getting reelected. And the people that give them a lot of money, for the most part, especially the ones that pass this bill, for the most part, they get all their campaign money from insurance companies and from trucking companies and big corporations. And so, yeah, if big corporations are not held accountable and insurance companies aren't held accountable, then our roads are going to be a whole lot less safe.
And in terms of,
go ahead.
In terms of suing the vehicle owner or the operator after a crash, is there anything people should be prepared now, or should their expectations change when they get a lawyer like you, or is the same process going to be handled?
Yeah, the process will be the same, other than, like I said, in the first part, you have to have two trials basically now instead of one trial, or one trial that's bifurcated. And so in the first half of the trial, you're only basically trying the negligence of the driver. And if that's all you can prove is that the driver was negligent, but the company didn't do anything wrong, then you don't get to do anything against the company other than you can recover against the company because employers are always responsible for the negligence of their employees if the employees are acting within the course and scope of their employment. You're always liable for that. So that's as far as you're going to get, is if, you know, the trucking company literally did nothing wrong and it's just the employee. And then to get to the employer, you've got to prove that there are specific acts of negligence that say there's a statute that says they shouldn't do this, like don't hire somebody that doesn't have a commercial driver's license. There's got to be a specific statute on point, and the violation of that statute has to be a proximate cause of the accident. And then if that's the case, then you can get into the second phase of the trial, which is going after the employer and the trucking company and getting damages against them, and hopefully exemplary damages or punitive damages to keep them from doing that in the future.
Right. Okay. Is there anything else you want to add for maybe people that are worried that they won't they won't receive the compensations they're expecting now because of this change in this new law, and if they have an accident, or the best way to handle this is just go to a lawyer like you and just hope for the best?
Well, the absolute best way is to go vote, and let's vote these people out of office that keep protecting, you know, big corporations and insurance companies, and they don't care about the little people and they don't care about consumers. So that's the best thing you can do, is go vote and register to vote, because obviously you can't vote unless you're registered, and they're making it harder and harder to to even register to vote, much less be able to vote. So that's step number one, is register to vote and then go vote. But in the meantime, just, talk to your lawyer about it, and hopefully you can get around this bifurcation part of the trial, or hopefully the lawyer can help you find independent acts of negligence that the company did, so that you can bring them into what's called the case in chief for the first part of the trial. So, as usual, what we tell people is, if you get in an accident, and you're capable of it, start talking to witnesses, start taking pictures, document the scene, document the weather, document the traffic control devices, document skid marks, do any kind of investigation you can while you're there before you leave and before the police show up. Do all that stuff, and then you can bring it to your lawyer, and your lawyer will send people out to look at the scene too, and they'll hire experts to reconstruct the accident and stuff. But basically, just let us, the lawyers, worry about it. But anything you can do to help the case, like I said, like, talking to witnesses, getting names, or if nothing else, even if you don't get a statement from them, at least get their name and phone number and address, so we can track them down and we can talk to them, and take pictures of the vehicles, and take pictures of the weather and the road conditions and the traffic control devices, and anything else that you can that would help us in reconstructing the accident. And then let us do the legwork as far as trying to prove that it wasn't probably just the employee's fault, the driver. It's probably just something the company did too, like failed to train them properly, or failed to supervise them, or failed to maintain the truck, the brakes or something like that. But let us worry about that. Just do your job, and then of course go and get medical treatment. And if you need help getting medical treatment, usually your lawyer can help you do that. They can send out letters of protections to medical providers to help you get treatment.
Got it. So get as much as documentation as possible. And regarding the bill being poorly written, the main reason you would say it's because it's one-sided, right?
Yeah, it's extremely one-sided. you know, the Republicans control most of the legislature, and they always vote on behalf of the corporations and the insurance companies and against the consumers. And since they control the legislature, they get these bills through. And yeah, it's extremely one-sided. Now the Texas Trial Lawyers Association, which represents average people, you know, did as much as they could to water down the bill. But yeah, it's the attempt is one-sided to just, you know, to deny people their day in court as usual. That's what they try to do. And so hopefully it's ambiguous enough that courts won't be too eager, depending on what judge you get. Courts won't be too eager to hurt the little guy, you know, and protect the insurance companies and the big trucking companies.
Right. Okay. We'll see what happens, but thank you so much for your time.
Okay.
Clearing a little bit about everything.